Hey, this is the Daily Overpass. My name is Eric and I make apps. Now today I want to talk about having to work on a project versus getting to work on a project. It's all about the motivation. Okay, so today I'm coming to you from the town of Abingdon, which is about 10 miles from the office, 10-15 miles from the office, and it's a nice scenic place. It's a brisk morning here today, so it's just trying to get out of the office a little bit more, especially for the start of the week. Right, so last week I was having a conversation with somebody, with one of my clients, right, and they were asking about, so I had sent an email like early in the morning, like at 5 o'clock in the morning, right, because I get up early and I start work early, and some days I'll work really late, some days I'll go home, have dinner, go back into the office, that kind of stuff. So he was asking about it. Said, so when you send these emails off at 5 o'clock, you did that from home? And I said, no, I come into the office, but it's nice because I just get a walk in. And he said, so what time do you work until? And I said, oh, I try to get home before 6, but sometimes it could be a bit later. Sometimes I'll go home and have to go back in because I have more stuff to do, right? And he looked at me like I was crazy, or kind of like with a sense of pity, the kind of way you would do if you see somebody else who's really overworked. You think, the people who start their own business, but really what they do is they create themselves a job and they're kind of stuck to it, and they're on a treadmill and they can't get off. And to be honest with you, sometimes it does feel that way. But there's a huge difference between when you do stuff on your own, when you're running your own company, and when you're doing it for somebody else. There is no way I would do that for somebody else if I was working for someone else, right? But it's the big difference between have to and get to. Like when someone's hiring you and you have to work for them, it's a completely different motivation than when you get to do it. I mean, I get to work on Overpass every day. I get to build it, right? Not just the apps and stuff like that, but I get to build the client experiences. Like every time we do something, we make a mistake with the client or something didn't quite work really well, we get to redo that again, right? And we're building it, right? And it's completely different than working for someone else, because you're on someone else's dime. You're building something for someone else, right? When I was contracting, right, when I started to make enough app money that I didn't have to contract 5 days a week anymore, I limited it to 3 days a week. And the beauty of that was that I got to, so I was working 3 days a week, so on Fridays and Mondays, there were Overpass days. In fact, on my alarm clock, on my phone, I set it so it said Overpass day when it went off. So when I woke up, I would be excited. And today I get to work the entire day on Overpass, right? And even then, I didn't have any clients. Just had the apps were making just enough money to be able to not work for 2 days a week, which was nice of the place I was working for to give me that, right? But I never felt like it was a chore, right? Now, on the other side of that, when you're working for when I was contracting, if you're working for a small company especially, where you work directly with the owner a lot of times will never go home, right? They'll want to have a meeting with you at 6:30, 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, right? And it seems like, dude, they never want to go home, and I just want to get out of here, right? You see a lot of people in situations like that where they're working for someone who's really passionate about their company, and they'll work crazy, ridiculous hours, not spending a lot of time with family, or try to squeeze time in here and there, right? And the people who work for people like that, it can be really difficult. So but the motivation is completely different, right? The person who's building the business owner, they get to work on it, right? They get to build something, right? They're excited about it, they're passionate about it. And the people who work for them, they should be passionate about it too, but they're still on a paycheck. It's a completely different motivation. So I've been in that situation quite a few times, where you have those late meetings, and finally you have to say, look, I have to go home. I can't stay here till 9 o'clock at 10 o'clock every night. I know, you're really excited about it, and I share your enthusiasm to a degree, but I need to go home. And it's completely different. It's something I try to think about with my own team, right? I don't expect them to work the kind of hours I do, right? And it's never a chore when the motivation is different. So anyway, I hope that makes sense today. I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you have a great week, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.